Thank you for tuning in to our channel Urban Flagship, and I'm your host, Dante Zilli. Today we're going to be talking about Adolph Thornton Jr., aka Young Dolph, and Martin Luther King Jr. Also a few other key subjects underlining our belief in another assassination conspiracy. This time also relating to Young Dolph and how his assassination is a mock resemblance to that of the late Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Our channel is based solely on conspiracies, and we adhere to the Fair Use Act. The disclaimer projected within allows us to promote this information, as the work of an alleged project, and it's only what we believe to be factual. But according to our research, we begin with the topic To Kill a Rapper, Part 2, A Place to Kill. Let us take a look into both the Lorraine Motel and Makita's homemade butter cookies. And in history, two black-owned businesses where two prominent black activists were brutally assassinated. The Lorraine Motel has a longer history than that of Makita's homemade butter cookies. In my research, I have found some very distinct pieces of coincidences that are, uncommon in assassinations and also law enforcement investigations, only because the common role of a coincidence in any plot to kill would exceed premeditation. Now, here we categorize the coincidence in our effort to refute it. Truth can never be refuted. It guards against coincidences, where in fact the projection of a coincidence is much so a conspiracy. No act of murder in any form is coincidental. In order for you to understand the English definition of coincidences, you would have to understand its root element. It is defined basically as common occurrences. Something that happened repeatedly out of blue. I guess, to say out of the blue. Nowadays, coincidences permeates truth. Common occurrences is something that's unexpected by every human, not just a particular group of people who experiences coincidental or common occurrences on a daily basis. In fact, coincidences is an etymology or a semantics. The word was invented in 1605. It is a French word that relates to coincider. To coincide, that will mean you have to take up the same time and place in space. In all actuality, there is no such thing as a coincidence. Everything happens for a reason, and there is a purpose behind everything. Etymology, the first known usage of the word, is from 1605, with the meaning exact correspondences in substance of or nature. From the French coincidence, from coincider, from medieval Latin coincidere, the definition evolved in the 1640s as occurrence or existence during the same time. Shortly, in Wikipedia, it reads, a coincidence is a remarkable concurrence of events or circumstances that have no apparent causal connection with one another. The perception of remarkable coincidences may lead to supernatural, occult, or paranormal claims, or it may lead to belief in fatalism. Now, as for me to say that Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and Adolph Thornton Jr. murders or assassination are so similar, this is where we categorize the coincidences in our effort to refute them. Again, truth can never be refuted. Both the assassination of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and Adolph Thornton Jr. are not mere coincidences. These are two African American men whom God has chosen and set forth in life to carry out a specific prophetic deed for all mankind. We have like coincidences in the phrase, history repeats itself. Those statements or words are not based on truth. Here I read from the King James Bible. And he changes the time and the season. He removeth kings and setteth up kings. He giveth wisdom unto the wise, and knowledge to them that know understanding. And from Romans 13:1, everyone must submit himself to the governing authorities, for there is no authority except that which God has established. The authorities that exist have been established by God. Consequently, he who rebels against authorities is rebelling against what God has instituted, and those who do so will bring judgment on themselves. For rulers hold no terror for those who do right, but for those who do wrong. Do you want to be free from fear of the one in authority? Then do what is right, and he will commend you. For he is God's servant to do you good. But if you do wrong, be afraid, for he does not bear the sword for nothing. He is God's servant, an agent of wrath to bring punishment on the wrongdoer. Number 5. Therefore, it is necessary to submit to the authorities, not only because of possible punishment, but also because of conscience. This is also why you pay taxes, for the authorities are God's servants, who give their full time to governing. Give everyone what you owe him. If you owe him taxes, if you owe taxes, pay taxes. If revenue, then revenue. If respect, then respect. If honor, then honor. Let no debt remain outstanding, except the continuing debt to love one another, for he who loves his fellow man has fulfilled the law. The commandments: do not commit adultery, do not murder, do not steal, do not covet, and whatever other commandments there may be, are summed up in this one rule: love your neighbor as yourself. Young Dolph took a stand with Makita homemade butter cookies, as so with Martin Luther King took a stand with Lorraine Motel. Both these men not commonly but frequently visit this place, where every time they were in town they would visit a particular place. Martin Luther King, on the other hand, when he came down to protest in Memphis, several events that occurred in history, you would notice that he would visit the Lorraine Motel. Don't nobody know if he would visit the same room or, occupy the same, room that he always did when he came there. But it is also known as a place where a lot of famous black people, singers and musicians, superstars, boxers, men of those great stature, African American men, Before then, this hotel was actually owned, by another man, and several businesses around this hotel also. It was once known as a whites-only hotel, and then it became a place for blacks, and prominent black people, to visit and travel and utilize for their purposes, their goals and careers and whatnot, their aims. As for Dolph, it was the same, what we would call common occurrence. Let's say a coincidence. But I don't truly believe in coincidences. I truly don't. We'll get to that later. And maybe in the end of this video. But the objective of the matter is there is no such thing as coincidence.
In the area? A signal Q. Contact unit on the call. You are to form a ring around the Lorraine Hotel. You're to form a ring around the Lorraine Hotel. No one is to enter or leave. Again, we have information that the shot came from a brick building directly east across, west from Lorraine. Okay, Tech 10 has information the shot was fired from a brick building directly across from the Lorraine on the east side, directly across from the Lorraine on the east side from a brick building, 606. All units, that's all units, 150 advise and all Tech units to seal this area off completely. There's a weapon in front of 424 and the subject ran south on Main Street. South on Main Street, the subject responsible for the shooting is running south on Main Street. The subject went south from that location, 607. Not to touch the weapon is not to be touched, 607. Repeating information, the subject ran south on Main from 424. A young white male, well-dressed, ran south from 424 at South Main, 608. Of information, the subject may be in a late model white Mustang, north on Main Street, 610.
621 Bravo.
Certainly important, looking for space, is that what?
781. Responsible left field, white Mustang, check out the corner. The white Ford Mustang.